Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Easton Roofing's hiring, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of this. You should be. It's one of the fastest growing companies in Kansas City. Listen, they need the employees. Look, if you're recently out of work, I feel for you, right? It's one of the reasons why we're saying stay home. Let's get the economy going. Socially distance, wear your masks, right? Do the things it takes to get us back and going to where we are, again, a healthy, vibrant city, country, right? But Easton Roofing is not only hiring, but they've also got sign-on bonuses if you're an experienced employee. If you're experienced in the roofing industry, they will be happy to give you a sign-on bonus. They got some great ones there. Check that out at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing also is happy to pay to train you. So listen, if that is not your choice of field, it has not been what you have worked in, don't worry. They will teach you the how to do it. And along the way, you will even get paid. It's at Easton Roofing. It is eastonroofing.com. Commercial and residential roofing. That's Easton Roofing. All over the metro area. Even in Topeka and Lawrence. That's right, serving Topeka and Lawrence. Call 913-257-5426. It was raining today. We've had some storms. A lot of roofs have been damaged. If you're not sure about your roof, get a free inspection right now with Easton Roofing. 913-257-5426. If you do need some work done, maybe it's just a repair, maybe it's a new roof, they will give you an estimate for free as well. PayPal, credit cards, they're accepted. They're even got financing available for you. Listen, your roof is essential. It defines essential. And you've got to take care of your family. You got to take care of yourself. You got to have a roof over your head. You got to have a roof over your business's head, right, to be able to do business. And if times are tough right now with this difficult economy, you can finance and still get that roof with Easton Roofing. Angie's List Super Service Award winner, 4 straight years voted best of houses. And not only that, are they fantastic. Check out the Google reviews. You'll see how impressed, how satisfied the customers are. But talk to their employees. You'll find out how great a company it is. Growing and growing and growing. They need employees. So if you're looking for work, 913-257-5426. Generous sign-on bonuses. And as I said, little or no experience, not a problem. They're even paying to train you how to help out. So Easton Roofing, great KC company. Call Joe and his team at 913-257-5426. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. And if you're looking this weekend, starting on Sunday night through the next week, for a great outside activity, right? That's a much safer place to be than in a small enclosed environment without circulation at the War Memorial, the World War I Memorial. That is a great spot to go. The Taps at the Tower is an incredibly moving ceremony. If you have not seen it, you are really missing out. I got a buddy who is from San Diego, and he's a big history guy. And when he came to town the first time, he's like, I got to go. I was amazed at how much he knew about the World War I Memorial, and he said, this is the place. He goes, everyone I talk to, he's on all these history sites and has all these books. He's like, this is the place you got to go. And he's now been down there. He's been out here, I think, 3 times, and twice he's gone down there. This is the best time to go. The Taps at the Tower is a great place to can have a picnic with the family. It's at 8:45 at sunset. You can watch the sunset from up there. It's a beautiful view. It's a great way to get out and have a great family time outside, right, and check out one of the coolest places around. It's the Taps at the Tower at the World War I Memorial. It's in the Memorial Courtyard overlooking downtown at the National World War I Museum. They play the taps. They lay the wreath. It is an incredible, incredible ceremony. 15,000 people have witnessed the Taps at the Town ceremony, and that needs to be 15,001. You need to be the other one. Pick a night, starting Sunday night through next Saturday, the 21st, this Sunday, 8:45 p.m., 8:45 every night through Saturday, June 27th. It's the Taps at the Tower. You can get more information at theworldwar.org/taps. Danny Clinkscale joins us here in the program. Danny, how are you?
Doing just fine, Soren. Always a pleasure to be here and ready to talk about all the joys that we're experiencing in the world of sports and otherwise right now. It's big smiles all across the board.
You know what? Listen, we're all Americans, right? I wish the best for everybody. It is a frustrating time for everybody. Listen, it's no more frustrating for me than it is everybody else. I totally get that, but I don't want to spend too much because we spent the whole hour on it.
Right.
That's enough.
That's fine.
And I want to cover, but I do want to give you a shot. Like, what's your reaction when you hear 23 positive tests at the University of Texas, the Phillies and Blue Jays shutting down their camps, the Lightning shutting down its camp, 15% growth in positive tests in Orlando where the NBA and MLS are trying to start things up. Tweet I saw today said that 20% of Arizona's tests are positive today. That's where the other half of Major League Baseball is going to go to try to get going. What's your mindset right now about sports?
Well, my mindset about sports is that every time we seem to take 2 steps forward, we hope we take 3 steps back, and that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be taking 3 steps back. I mean, it's just the reality of the situation. But the other aspect of it, it would seem to me that it's just common sense for people to look at the fact that where we're having the most success now as far as things getting better are the places where it was the worst, the places they took it the most seriously, the places they had the most onerous lockdowns that still aren't concluding, like where each of my daughters lives, one in Brooklyn, one in San Francisco, and that's where we're seeing the tests and the positives and the hospitalizations all drop, and the places where they decided, hey, everything's good here in Florida and here in Texas,
Arizona,
where we're having the biggest, in Arizona, here where we're having the biggest rebound in the virus. I mean, and the unfortunate thing is, as those words are coming out of my mouth, I know there's some people out there who are thinking that this is a political statement. It's a health statement. It's a common sense statement. And as far as sports is concerned, unfortunately, the ideas that they came up with based on the fact that, we can go there, they're open. Well, too bad, so sad. It doesn't look like we're going to have that happen. And the sports that are being incredibly step-by-step careful with what they're doing and going to places that, either the home stadiums in the Premier League that just opened up again, or golf, which hasn't had a positive test yet, but is testing everybody. No,
they have a positive test now. It happened today.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that.
No, you're probably out and about. Nick Watney got a positive test last night and left the tournament.
Oh, there you go. Well, they had been fortunate for, there you go, 6 whole rounds of play.
Yeah.
So I don't know that people. I think we said this in this platform before. We felt like 2 months of sacrifice was just way too much. It was awful. We couldn't bear it. We had to get out. I don't even think in a lot of cases was people thinking of the economy. I think it was really just them thinking, I'm bored. I'm sick of this. I've watched every show I can watch. I've taken every walk I can take with my family. I'm done with that healthy activity. I wonder how many people, as soon as some of the restrictions were taken away, just ditched what was a lovely family bonding experience that you used to see
right.
all the time. All the time when I would take my drive at the end of the day, which was sort of my therapy, and neighborhoods would be just mobbed with groups of 4, 5, and 6 little families walking around, something they probably never did before. And I wonder how many of them just immediately said, "Oh, that was a big sacrifice we had to make, taking those horrible walks with our children, and now we're not doing it anymore." I hope that's not the case, but I bet in a lot of cases it is.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to just belabor this because we've given it plenty of time here, but it is obviously the most important, one of the most important topics going on in this country. I'll get to the other one here in a second, it's just, to me, what frustrates me is like when I see these other countries, like particularly Italy, which like people are acting like, oh God, Italy's like, The Walking Dead, right? Like it's just you can't go there. And you see where Italy's numbers are, and they're so much lower. Like I look at that as a scorecard, and America's getting its ass kicked. Right? I don't like that. Like like America used to be competitive, and it's not anymore. Like we don't mind being the town boob. We just tell ourselves it's like America now plays sports and is losing 80-60, but just says no. The scoreboard is fake news.
Right, we
win.
Yeah,
we win, and then we make our own trophy to declare ourselves the winner.
Right,
it's asinine.
And every, all across the board, you can cite examples of it. You just watch the spelling bee. Who's winning it? All the Asian Americans who come here, work hard, are dedicated to their spelling or their mathematics, and they just. And they're Americans also, but there may be first-generation Americans, and they're just kicking our ass. And it happens all across. But maybe only in a couple of the most major sports can we still stick our chest out. And just about in every other area, we just allow, as you say, just throw up our hands and say, well, I guess we can't compete. No.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. And for those who think, for those who think that we shouldn't be talking about this part of it because it's not sports, if everything was great and Major League Baseball wasn't playing because they had some other type of, we'd be talking about the reasons why baseball wasn't playing, wouldn't we? If it was players versus owners, we'd be talking about that. This is another version of that. So why wouldn't you talk about the reason why sports aren't happening?
Right,
it's absolutely a topic,
and it's absolutely a sports topic.
And for those who were crying out for sports to come back, well, we screwed it up. Apparently, we screwed it up because we just weren't willing to say, "Hey, nobody liked it. Nobody likes having their freedoms taken away." But people finally.
Well, they haven't been taken away.
People finally.
They've just asked you to not use them full force for a little while so that we can, save as many lives as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. And as I said, the places that it was the worst, they were understandable why it was the worst. Big urban areas where people were forced into situations where they're together all the time. But once it happened and it was bad, they took it seriously. My daughter basically hasn't left her Brooklyn apartment except to go to work, and she didn't work for a while. Thank goodness, she works for Starbucks. They paid her, but for almost 2 months, she went out of her apartment physically, maybe once a week, and she was all by herself. Her roommates left. It was a sacrifice she was willing to make. Her zip code was rife with cases, but now they're on the other side of it. And they're doing much better, and the places that said, well, that's not going to happen to us, that was just because it was New York or it was California, so we're good. No. I mean, just look at our state border here. Missouri has double the rates and double the deaths per capita. And it was pretty plain to see which state was more vigorous about paying attention to this. And again,
and it wasn't
that's
just St. Louis.
and that's going to be seen as a political statement.
Right.
But it's not. Yeah. It's a health statement. But.
Well, let's shift gears and talk about what's going on with the Confederate flag and the role that sports is playing in it. I don't think sports is the reason why, right? More killing of African-American men, African-American people, is what brought this to the forefront, and sports is getting on board. And I loved what Nate Bukaty said when we were on Sunday Sound-Off last week. His parting thought was, he said, goodbye to the stick-to-dribbling crowd, the stick-to-sports crowd. No longer is that going to be able, are people going to be able to say that because of how impactful, this has become and how athletes have used their platform to fight for social justice. And I do think it's great to see the SEC jump in and say no championships in the state of Mississippi. To see Mike Leach, who's new to Mississippi and sometimes puts his foot in his mouth, say the state flag should be something that unites people, not divides them. And to see all these statues coming down, which, by the way, there was some statue, I don't even remember what it was, and I don't care. But somebody was defending it. There were people standing around with bats. They're like, you're not going to bring this down? I actually hope that what they do is just wait them out. Like, I want to see how important that statue is to somebody. Like, how long are you going to stand there with a bat? Are you going to dump in your own pants to save the statue that the country has now finally said, the vast majority of this country has finally said, no, this is wrong? Like, are you going to eat there? Are you going to sleep there? I really hope that people do, the ones that are for preserving these statues. I hope they wait them out, and I just want to see them sit there and wear their same clothes for 3 days and see how important that statue is to you.
Well, the one thing that's really should point out the total horror of this whole situation is the fact that they're trying to take down 11 statues of Confederate generals in Washington at the Capitol. Okay, those statues were put up during the civil rights movement when Southern senators had the right to pick 2 heroes to build statues of to place around the Capitol. And they picked old Confederate generals and I think Robert E. Lee maybe. They weren't built back in the day and then they put up there. They were built in reaction to the civil rights movement. So it's not even historical. It was a political statement being made at a moment in time that was 100 years after the Civil War.
Yeah, no, it's just.
And that's when that's when the whatever monument they took down finally in Georgia at the state capitol. That's when that thing was built. It was built in the late 1950s. It wasn't built in 1863.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
The idea that if we it's part of our history. Well, it can still be part of your history. We don't have to drive by and see it every morning. People who walk into these buildings don't have to see it every day.
This is in my family business too. For years, and thank goodness before she passed, my wife took the trip she always wanted me to take to Charleston, South Carolina, with her mom, and they had a wonderful time. And she, for years, has tried to get me to go to Charleston, South Carolina. Okay, it's a beautiful place, but really what you do is walk around and look at antebellum mansions, okay? Well, I don't want to do it, all right? I don't want to pay $30 to go and look at a place where, hey, looky over there. There's these beautiful columns, and then over there's the slave quarters. Right. No, not for me. That's not my idea of good fun on vacation. It's going to kind of muddy the waters in my world. That's me. Hey, look at those beautiful azaleas over there. And, then look at that cotton field where people are out there in 100-degree heat having their fingers bleed.
But we need it as we need it as a reminder so we don't do that again, Danny.
Well, anyway.
Well, I will. Yeah. Listen. The one thing I will say is that, I don't want it erased from the history books because I don't want it repeated. Like, the mistakes need to be known.
No, but a statue is a glorification. It's not a reminder of something.
No, I know. I agreed.
Yes.
But, one of the things that, because I'm sitting here going, and I've talked about it many times, the things that I need to do better and the changes that I'm trying to make, and I'm trying to talk to as many people as I can and reaching out to folks. I reached out to another friend today and said, just talk to him. I said, what are you thinking? Yeah, I'll be flat out. I reached out to, I'm going to do it. What the hell? I reached out to the one black intern that I've had here. Listen, I'm not going to tiptoe around it. People have said it, and it's fair criticism. They've said many times, oh, you're talking about, civil rights, and you're talking about Black Lives Matter. Where are all the black hosts on your station? How many black employees? And I've always said I don't have the answer, right? So I reached out and I spent some time talking to a friend who was a former intern who was African American, and I asked him that question. I said, listen, people ask me that, and it's a fair question, and I don't have an answer, and I'm embarrassed. I want more. What do I need to do? I said I consider myself at least a marginally intelligent person that I ought to be able to figure it out. I said, what am I missing? And we talked about it for like about an hour about different things. I said, what do we need to do to be more diverse, and what can we do, and what do I need to do? And, he gave me some great advice on some things and some things that I intend to do. Unfortunately, we're in the middle of the pandemic, and I'm broadcasting from, the little play area in our basement for our kids, and I don't know when that's going to change. But, it was a great discussion. And we talked about things, and he gave me some suggestions, and I said, well, I like this one. I can't do this one because of this. He goes, that's great. He said, it's really good for me to hear you explain why some things that I think are easy aren't easy on your end. He said, I think it's important that, in the black community, we got to understand that somebody who's like saying, okay, how can we get better? How do we come together? How do we do these things? We got to understand that you have thoughts and ideas and reasons. And it was just this great exchange of, here's what I'm thinking, here's what you're thinking, here's what my life is, here's what your life is, here are these things. And when both of us came away, and I was blown away, and maybe he was just being kind. He's like, I really enjoyed that. I really appreciated that. I'm like, this was for me. This was me who needed this, right? Because I would like to have more. Like Dorian is what, Curtis? 4th female intern?
Yeah, I mean, maybe more. Yeah, maybe 5th.
For our show, I'm just thinking for our show.
16 years. That's about 5. Yeah.
I mean, that I'm not saying it needs to be one girl for one boy, or one young lady for one young man, right? But like our numbers, and so I took the time, and he said, and we had a bunch of stuff. And like I said, I'm not going to go through it all right now, but he gave me some really good advice and some stuff that I hope to be able to employ very soon when I'm not doing everything I can to stay home, right? But I think it's just amazing how little people are willing to listen to what's going on and to have just thoughtful conversations about everything that's out there. And how, well, what's important to you? What's hurtful to you? And I knew that slavery, everything, I studied it. We all know what's out there. And I knew that, wow, Robert E. Lee, a statue of him, has got to be, a pisser to an African-American guy. But to the extent I'd never taken the time, and why I didn't say, this has to go. This has to go. It's just like, yeah, I know it hurts my friend. Man, those people suck. Now, back to Jeopardy, I mean, like you got to have more than a thought. And I think that's the thing that I've taken away from this is like things that are important and things that are right require action. And at some point you got to get your fat ass off the couch, block out some time and learn something, right? Call a friend, call an individual, do what it takes. Go to the community and do the things that need to happen. And it's just amazing how that seems to be such a difficult thing for so many of us to do. And I'm saying me, like I consider myself, I've done more in the last 4 weeks to reach out and be, and I have black friends, right? That's the worst statement ever coming out of a white guy's mouth. But I do, good friends, great friends. But and I've listened to them, but I've never actually tried to make change. I've done more in the last 4 weeks than I have in the first 48 years of my life. It's ridiculous.
Well, all we can do is not, we can't do anything about what we haven't done, but now we can do something.
Exactly.
If you haven't done something, that ship has sailed. You can feel bad, whatever. That doesn't do any good. You have to move forward. We can feel like people's apologies or somebody's turnaround on the kneeling issue or whatever should have happened 4 years ago, but it didn't. And this time it can. I'm watching a soccer game today, and in England, for crying out loud, instead of the names on the back of the players, it says Black Lives Matter on all the Premier League teams. And, that I don't think we're going to see that here, but it'd be dandy.
What do you think of, and I know we need a break, but Bill O'Brien, Mark Cuban saying that they will kneel with their players? What do you think if we get an NFL season?
I think it's refreshing, and it's just another thing. Bill O'Brien certainly probably didn't even contemplate kneeling 4 years ago, and right. This time he's going to. And Mark Cuban, was aghast when his basketball game was, that was one of the funniest. That was one of the funny early the first night when he looked at his phone and he realized another NBA game had been, what? And now, he knows that was the right thing to do. And in this case, he's always been reasonably progressive on some things anyway. So it's just a learning process for people. That's, and maybe this time there'll be some learning. We've made incremental steps along the way, but big strides maybe can be made this time.
Yeah, and I'm with you, and I hope they are. We'll take a break. Danny Unleashed, Danny Clinkscale, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. They are hiring right now. Sign-on bonuses, yes, they've got them for experienced employees, but also, even if you have no experience, they are happy to train you and pay you while they do. That's Easton Roofing, great Kansas City company, one of the fastest-growing companies out there. Check out their Google reviews. If you need some work done, yes, they're happy to do that as well. They are doing tons and tons of both commercial and residential roofs right now. Repairs, they do them. A lot of other companies won't. They're happy to do it. Call Joe and his team at 913-257-5426. Use that same number if you are looking for a job in the roofing industry, 913-257-5426. It is EastonRoofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
You're in the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB as Danny Clinkscale, Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. It is a great time if you are in need of some roof repairs to call Easton Roofing. Online, they're at eastonroofing.com. Call 913-257-5426. They're hiring right now. Profit sharing, health insurance, and 401k match, company vehicles and tools, guaranteed year-round work. Additional bonus for veterans. They got a sign-on bonus for experienced workers. If you don't have any experience, that's all right. They'll train you and pay you while they train you. That is Easton Roofing. Check out their Google reviews online, commercial and residential roofing. 913-257-5426. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. And don't forget, starting on Sunday, Taps at the Tower begins. This is the 7th year for Taps at the Tower. It is a beautiful, great, simple ceremony. The Taps Bugle Call, the wonderful color guard procession that comes down, the laying of the wreath, the reading of the inscription on the Great Frieze at the memorial, and, of course, playing taps in the background just makes for a great, great moments. Great outdoor venue. You can bring the family, spread out, plenty of room, right, for everybody to socially distance and sit and relax and have a picnic or what. Watch the sunset. It's at 8:45 starting Sunday night all the way through next Saturday. It's Taps at the Tower. Check it out if you'd like. If you want more information, go to theworldwar.org/taps. theworldwar.org/taps. Over 15,000 have witnessed the Taps at the Tower ceremony. It is a must. It is an absolute must. And the museum is out of this world.
Fantastic.
Voted one of the best museums in the country. So go see them there. It's just a great, great place to go get in touch with our history, right? Talking a little history here. Danny, let's talk a little bit about baseball and the deal. Let's assume we're going to get baseball. What's that?
Yeah, I really did want to talk about it because, Buster Olney, even today, they asked him at the end of his segment on Get Up, what's your percentage chance that they're going to play? And he said 100% they're going to play. And he said, I don't know if it's, how long we're going to play or, and we hadn't seen the kind of reports as of then that they may not be able to play, even if they want to play. But, the whole thing's when you in the end, have one side saying 60 games and one side saying 70 games, and they can't agree, and they're rejected out of hand. I mean, baseball fans they're just going to be furious. And the other part is, it's almost infantile what's going on here. The 72-game proposal with 80% pay is the exact same amount of pay as 60 games at full pay. So it's just it was like, I think this might be true, that Rob Manfred was given a $1.5 billion salary budget by the owner. He said, you got to make that work. And so he's tried to come up with all these different ways to, I don't know, fool the 12-year-olds, baseball players, to think that, well, the manner in which you get paid will change, but the amount's going to stay exactly the same. And they've done that over and over again. I can see why the players are furious, but it doesn't matter. They got to play if they can.
Yeah, I want to play, Jed. Let's hear Mr. Sherman, what he had to say, and I think this is great for Royals fans. He was in a Zoom conference that was part of the Royals organization award show. And John Sherman was talking about different things, and he said he's just one of many people that's affected by the pandemic.
I actually kind of feel more for these players and coaches and scouts and all of you that this is your livelihood and this is what you've done for many, many years. And I actually have a great empathy for kind of the situation we're in right now, and I rest assured that I am working 24/7 to try to get us back on the field. This is certainly not how we thought the 2020 season would get started. We all miss baseball. We wish we were on the field, but we got hit with the pandemic right at a really a high point of spring training. I was very excited. I know the minor leaguers were just arriving. I thought, with a new skipper, I thought guys were locking in. So it was, we got hit at a hard time. But I would also say that's not something we control. What we can control is how we respond to unexpected events. And I have been extremely impressed with how this organization, the resilience of the organization, and how we've responded during these times. It gives me great confidence in our future. As I said, I'm working 24/7 to get us back on the field. I look forward to working with each one of you in the pursuit of our goals and objectives. And I firmly believe, again, this is not what we wish the pandemic hadn't hit, but I firmly believe that this organization will come out stronger on the other side, and there are great things ahead for the Kansas City Royals.
Man, I like hearing that. Sign me up for that, right?
Yeah, I think that John Sherman, in this horrendous time, couldn't have got off it to a better start as the Royals owner in terms of public perception and his actions. I'm sure he's feeling like he is, whichever Peanuts character has the black cloud over his head. Was that Linus?
Pigpen.
Pigpen, right. Hey, I buy a baseball team, and all of a sudden I've got no season. My general manager sets precedent for baseball by wanting to pay everyone when other teams weren't going to do that. And I don't think he had to be convinced. I think the man was on board. I think he realized it was the right thing to do. But he can't feel like he acts. He paid $1 billion for a liability right now. But in the long term, I'm sure he'll do just fine. But on top of that, he's sitting in a situation where his fellow owners, his group of running the business, and the other side, I think more the owners, are trying to undercut his investment to not kill baseball, but hurt it badly. It already has been. So baseball's not going to come out of this, unscathed. No chance. But from his standpoint, I don't think Royals fans could feel better that they have that person in charge.
I agree. And he is – I'm with you. Like, I know it's not how he wanted to start his tenure, but he could not have passed with more flying colors than he has to this point. And, in the long run, that may be the best thing. I mean, nobody wanted a pandemic, right? But the way he's handled it, I think it's something that's going to gain him great favor with fans. I think you feel like for the first time, he is a Kansas City guy. The people in the group are Kansas City guys. As all wealthy people do, they have homes in other places, but they are genuinely have strong ties to Kansas City. John Sherman lives here in Kansas City, right? That empowers you as a fan, and to hear him out there and for him to have, isn't that about all the fans want? Just tell me you understand that it's tougher for me than it is you.
Right.
I mean, how refreshing is that to be like, I feel for you guys, as opposed to the dipwad in St. Louis who's like, well, this isn't a cash flow business. Like, we're not really making money here. Like, wrong answer.
Well, wrong answer
from your
too.
palace.
Wrong answer too. It's not for the other thing is the biggest part of your investment is how your franchise goes up in value. Screw the cash flow part of it. Bill
bought it for $150 million in 1995. It's now worth over $2.1 billion.
Right.
The Cardinals.
Yeah.
Look, so if he cares, most of these people are elderly men. Their families are going to have an incredible windfall when they pass on. Isn't that, in large part, what a man strives for as he heads into his elder years? That who he leaves behind is going to be in a better place?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, his group, I know a couple of the guys in the group, I've spoken to John Sherman. Todd Lebo and I spoke to him at spring training, and really enjoyed the conversation. Was very frank and open and honest and forthright. And I really enjoyed talking to him, and he seemed to really it wasn't like, all right, these guys caught me, I got to give him a couple of minutes. He sat there and seemed to be amicable to having a chat with two media dopes, right? And I thought that was nice. It spoke to, because he could have been like shoe flea, and that wasn't the attitude he had at all. And I've had a chance to sit with at least one other owner. I'm trying to think. I thought I knew two others, but one other couldn't be a better guy and couldn't be more committed to Kansas City. And that's what I think is so great about these guys, and what I do think about some of the really wealthy people in this town. I know Cliff Hillig, and I think John Sherman and Cliff Hillig are cut from the same cloth. You hear Cliff Hillig talk about, he's very rich. Congrats, right? But he talks about, wanting to bring the World Cup here for what it will do for Kansas City. And he talks about, what we have to be careful of, mistakes we don't want to make because it wouldn't be good for the city. Like Cliff Illig has and John Sherman does too, I know from just chatting with him, a passion for the city. And the teams, do they want to win every year? Yeah, sure they do. But do they know that they can't just buy the championships? Yes, they know that as well. But they genuinely care about the town. And I think that's a pretty good spot to be in. And I think this is clear, particularly when you see what he's done for his employees. And just hear it in his comments right there. I mean, why can't more owners be like him? Who I feel for is the players. Was that so hard? I don't even think John, even if you don't mean it, just say it. Just say it to help the deal get done. I think John Sherman believes it, right? I think he totally believes it because I think he's cut from the same cloth as Dayton Moore. And so I don't understand why other owners can't be as thoughtful as John Sherman was just in that little soundbite.
I totally agree, and we just need a lot more thoughtful conversation like that in general, but certainly in the baseball conversations. And I've almost gotten to the point where I almost feel bad for Rob Manfred. I think he's kind of a stooge in this whole thing, and the owners are just, thank goodness we have an owner that I think we can look at in a good light. Baseball owners, they're just hiding and throwing him out there to take all the bullets. Now, that's his job. He's well paid for it. But I get the feeling that Manfred doesn't necessarily believe what he's saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're talking to Danny Clinkscale. It's Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Easton Roofing, now hiring, as a matter of fact. So call them today at 913-257-5426. Generous sign-on bonus for qualified candidates. Paid training for those with little or no experience. Profit sharing, health insurance, 401k match, company vehicle and tools, guaranteed year-round work. Additional bonus for veterans as well. Call Easton Roofing today, 913-257-5426. Angie's List Super Service Award winner 4 straight years, voted best of houses. Whether you need your roof repaired or replaced, Or if you're looking for employment in the roofing industry, I can recommend no one higher than Joe Spiker and his great team at Easton Roofing. Call today at 913-257-5426. Find them online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. What's the difference at this time of year as we head toward the warmer months for homeowners, and what should they be looking at, coronavirus or not?
If you didn't do a good job of home maintenance in the fall, cleaning your gutters out, when we get the spring rains, that can be a real problem. So you want to make sure that you've done a good job on your home maintenance, cleaning your gutters out. We can help with that. I always tell people they never get their roof inspected. They get their furnace inspected once a year, but they never get their roof inspected. And we do the inspection on your roof for free. So you call, you make an appointment, we'll show up, do the inspection. It's free. You should have your roof looked at once a year. Take advantage of us. And most likely you're fine. And if there's a problem, hopefully we can get out in front of it and save you money in the end.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Who was the first New York Yankee to lead the league in home runs?
Ooh. It was before Babe Ruth. Yeah, he had the record, too, didn't he, with like 12? Or 21 or 29 or something like that?
I don't think he ever had the record.
I'm going to be mad when I hear
in
it.
1916 with 12.
With 12, yeah. That's what I thought.
And he won the league again in 1917. Notable name in history.
I know.
Especially because of the guy whose birthday is today.
I'm not going to be happy. Give me the answer.
Wally Pip.
Oh, really?
God, that's awful.
1916 and 1917, he led the league in homers. Lou Gehrig, born in the state in 1903.
I actually am not that mad because that's not who I thought it was.
No, that wasn't who I was thinking either. But I know it's a Yankee. I know it's like, once you said, I'm like, that's right. It's Wally freaking Pip.
Yeah, that's the first thing that everybody thinks about Wally Pip, that he's a two-time American League home run king.
No one knows Ernie Berlioz was a 20-game winner. They just know he got traded for Lou Brock.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good Sense, what we were playing for there. Go to goodsensesubs.com right now. Put your order in, the time. You can do it with the app. That's the easiest way. Make sure you're part of that loyalty club. 10% back. Of course, proud partner of supporting Kansas City and supporting all of Kansas City. Founded in Lenexa 30 years ago. Joe Bazzone, starting Good Sense, and you can get it right now on your way home. Pick your time, pick your sandwiches. You can even save your order in there. Makes it super easy. That's what we do in my family with Good Sense. Go see him today. Danny Clinkscale's with us, brought to you by Easton Roofing. Danny, so tell me, I'm actually kind of intrigued by the 60-game season and to see the games mean so much. I actually want to see what that looks like. I really want them to play just because and even 70 will have the same effect. But I just want to see what it looks like. And I'm also intrigued by the 16-team playoff just to see how it works.
Yeah, in the end, I don't think I want to embrace it as far as the long term, but I am excited about it and I want to see it. And I think one reason it's exciting is where we sit right here. I mean, the Royals have no chance to win anything this year in a 162-game season. We know that. And now that's not going to happen. In 60 games, anything can happen. I mean, I still, don't necessarily like their chances. But, I mean, if you go out and go 12-5 at the start of the year, I mean, it's almost one-third of the way through the season. And you're in first place, probably. Whee! I mean, I think it'll be great. So, from a Kansas City standpoint, could that be better, 60 games? If I'm a Royals fan, I'm hoping for the 60, not the 70.
Either way, either it puts them into contention or it ends your misery quickly.
Right. Well, also, think of it this way. That means that you'd be 102 games in if they played 60. Well, the Royals are in it when, at that point, they probably would have been out of it at 102 games in. So they're in it right from the start.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how it all plays out when and so. But we got to get the games right.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. DannyClinkscale.com, where you can see all of Danny's great work. Brought to you by Easton Roofing. Danny, have yourself a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to you, buddy.
Thank you a lot, Soren. Same to you.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.